Join Vince and I, and even Doom's Vince, every Wednesday night at 7 Central Time on the Supervillain Network for a brand new episode of the Geekvolution Radio Hour. A full hour of intellectually stimulating discussion, or the next best thing. First thing I want to talk about tonight is the Star Wars poster, the last poster for Star Wars The Force Awakens. I keep wanting to say Unleashed. It drives me absolutely bonkers. Anyway, The Force, they might be unleashed, but it has to awaken first. You know what I mean? Maybe it won't have that Planet of the Apes problem where the title makes sense to come first. But anyway, so...
It makes me really nervous when I hear Force and Awaken, because I feel like somebody's going to dump cold water on me any minute.
So, a lot of people are speculating really hard about this trailer because it's actually, or not this trailer, this poster, because it's actually sort of revealing some things, or potentially revealing some things. The first thing, of course, is, and let me also mention that this, of course, is a pre-recorded show, so you have probably already seen the new Star Wars trailer that was put out with, I want to say, a football game tonight, and... Vince and I won't have seen that yet because it hasn't been posted online. So we're talking about the poster tonight,
and we don't watch football.
And I will probably try to tackle that with another co-host sometime during the week. Do a little bit of a speculation video based on that trailer, if there's enough in it to talk about. But interesting, just how much is in the poster. First of all, a thing that looks a lot like a Death Star. And obviously, you know, kind of an updated, different sort of Death Star.
It's kind of a long Death Star. I'm thinking it's more like a shooting Death Star.
It looked hilarious. It looks like a thing that maybe like opens from top to bottom and like you know comes out and then has the beam thing in the middle of it. If it's not a Death Star, it's definitely a Technodrome, Vince. There's
Technodrome. I'm waiting for the battle van.
Which of course is a dumb joke to make anyway, since the Technodrome is clearly, you know, making fun of the Death Star in the first place. And but I also, and I mentioned this on Crisis, but I want to say it again here because it absolutely cracked me up. I like Eric's theory because the other thing that we're going to talk about a little bit is that Luke Skywalker's not in the poster and what that might mean.
What?
But yeah, well, you saw it. I showed it to you.
Oh yeah, that's right.
but Vince, I like Eric's theory. Eric said, for those of you guys who don't know, he's a regular contributor here on Geekvolution. Eric said, well, maybe that is Luke Skywalker, the Death Star. And then he said, I am more machine, or he's more machine now than man.
Man, that hand grew quite a lot, didn't it?
Yeah, it morphed. It engulfed him. So
that's okay. Just for future reference for all you Power Rangers out there, when you say it's morphin' time, don't have a robotic hand. Because it's going to take over.
Well, speaking of the robotic hand, that's kind of the prevailing theory, is that Luke looks different enough because of whatever has happened to him either in the movie or before the movie that we can't put him on a poster because it would give too much away.
Yeah, it's probably true. Or, you know, he could just have become the Knight. He is outer space and Batman.
Some people have also said perhaps he you know dies in the movie, and for whatever reason they didn't want to put him on the poster because of that. Although I think if he dies, you'd put him on the poster.
Yeah,
because that doesn't mean that the event that he's there doesn't mean that he's not going to be there sometime during the film.
And at the top it would say, and Mark Hamill as the dude who dies.
And I'm surprised by how quickly they're getting on Episode 8. Apparently, Episode 8 is already filming.
Wow.
I did not know this, but apparently he's been seen. Mark Hamill's been seen on set, but Dan the other night on Crisis, yeah, that's what Dan said. He was like, well, he could just be a Force ghost.
Yeah, they forced him to be a ghost after he awakened. They dumped cold water on him, killed him from the shock immediately.
So, what do you think? I mean, do you have any speculation beyond that, or?
You know, I haven't looked into it at all. Yeah. I mean, I would.
But just what's your first impression, like?
I mean, I would say that it would make sense to me that they would make him a ghost, because then they could turn him into, you know, whatever they wanted. I mean, if they wanted to have young, thin Mark Hamill around, they could do that with CGI. I'm not saying it would look good. I mean, of course, we've seen what electronic Jeff Bridges looks like. So.
I doubt that's where they would go, because I didn't think of that, Vince. They could do that, but the folks working on Star Wars right now have a lot more. It seems like, you know, a great affinity for the original movies, so they would look at the original theatrical versions probably more as what's canon and not do what the special editions did, which was de-age people when they die. I really bet if we get a Force, I could be wrong about this, but I bet you money we get a Force Ghost in this universe and they're going to look the way they did when they died.
That's fair. What if they look like a giant robot, Death Star?
Well,
they're just floating around, a big Force Ghost Death Star.
Look, if that's how he looks when he dies, maybe, yeah. Well, I didn't think of that. Now, to be fair, Darth Vader didn't look like Darth Vader when he died, but he looked like an old man.
Yeah. He looked like he would were he not shoved into an electronic suit.
Yeah, exactly. But he's still the age that he was when he died. That's all I'm saying. Where in the way, I mean, I don't know if there is any kind of logic to this, but my assumption was always that you had a kind of like an image of yourself that's projected, like projected self-image.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, but if that's the case, then you could project the whatever image you wanted, right?
Well, I suppose, but until we did the special editions, everybody projected themselves as the age they were when they died.
Oh, that's just because it was easier.
Yeah, no, I know that. But once again, from the perspective of these people who have such an affinity for the originals, and I mean, there's respect for the Clone Wars stuff, and they're finding different ways in some of what they're putting out even right now outside of the movies to integrate that stuff and try to make a seamless canon, as seamless as they can. I still think that they're likely to err on the side of do whatever the originals did before what the special editions did. Yeah,
I'm just being cantankerous.
Well, yeah, that's okay. I'm used to that. Man. It's cool. Well, your projected self-image would be about 40 years older than you are right now.
This is the voice I'm going to use. I'm an old man.
So you use the Force, Luke, in that.
Use the Force, Luke. Bring me pudding.
Anyway, Vince, could you try to remember this is a radio show?
You cannot have your pudding if you haven't eaten your meat.
Anyway, so are you getting more and more stoked for this movie? Because I am. I'm kind of losing it, excited about seeing this thing at this point.
Such a jerk. I'm indifferent.
Yeah, of course you are. That's cool. Well, to be fair though, you've not been looking at the extra stuff that they've been putting out coming up to it.
That's true.
The comics and stuff have been really good. I like the merchandising is doing what merchandising should. Mm-hmm. It's just making me super stoked because it's really classy and quality. A lot of what Disney's been putting out, both in I mean, they're putting out toys that I would love to buy if I had a Star Wars collection and cared more to own that stuff, but it's awesome.
Who knows? After you see this movie, you might want to have one or two of them. Though.
Well, it could happen. No, definitely. I mean, well, have you had that where like you've gone to a movie and like you didn't think you cared, but then you ended up buying a toy from it? Like,
oh yeah,
yeah.
And a lot of the time it'll be like representative. I'll say, man, I went to see Ted, and don't judge me, I liked the movie Ted, so I got the pop figure of Ted. And but I don't need to have the giant 30-foot plush Ted that they make.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you're not a Star Trek fan, but you bought a Nero figure because you like that movie. Like,
I did not buy it.
Oh.
I got it from a gift exchange.
Okay, well, you did.
But I kept it because I liked it.
You didn't get rid of it because you liked it. Well, that's as far as Vince would probably end up going, buying Star Wars things. That's fair. You can just come over and borrow mine. I have a whole room of Star Trek things.
I'll just walk off with Star Trek and Star Wars stuff from your place.
But no, I mean, I have found myself becoming more and more of a Star Wars fan since Disney got the license. And I'm not saying that I couldn't have been turned into more of a Star Wars fan with some of the expanded universe stuff before that. I just never looked into it. Mm-hmm. And again, I know there's a lot of great stuff that I just never looked at. Dan Torrey is always telling me about stuff that I should go back and look at. But Disney made it a real, honest to God, easy jumping on point. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where I felt bad for folks that love that stuff, but once that stuff was wiped out, all of a sudden, and I mean, some of it they're finding ways to insert things kind of back into continuity, different ideas and characters and things. And I don't know if what they're putting out is going to be better than what was there before, because I just didn't look at that stuff. But all I'm saying is, as a casual fan that was kind of trepidatious about expanded universe because there's so much of it, it's really easy to jump in now and really sink your teeth into it. And so it's been really fun. I'm buying all of the Marvel Star Wars comics, Vince.
All of them, huh?
Yes. And I'm not even that much of a Star Wars guy, but they're mostly really good.
So, folks, for those of you who don't know, that means he's gone from buying no Star Wars things to most of the Star Wars to all of it.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, what do you mean to? I mean, I've been buying all Star Wars since Marvel got the license.
Oh, I thought you were buying like most of it initially, but you still were.
When they started, most would have been 1 out of 2. I mean, like when they started, they had Star Wars and they had Vader, and then they've slowly started adding some miniseries and things like that over time.
Oh, I thought the R name guy or Canon or whatever.
Canon had a book, but again, that was 4 or 5 issues after the first issue of Star Wars. That's in fact that's the only one I haven't been buying. I read. You're right. I forgot about that one. Yeah, and
I'm picking your nits, sir.
I should. I mean, I read the first issue and it was okay. I didn't dislike it, and I watched Rebels, so I mean, I should probably be reading that. But whatever. Anyway.